Welcome to Marathon Champions, the podcast where running legends Benji Durden, Bill Rogers, and Ron Tabb share their timeless wisdom on marathon training and inspire listeners with their wealth of experience. These champions continue to impact the running world today.
It seems like every time Ron and I ran in a race together, we always had a good pre and post race time.
You enjoyed yourself before the race and after the race.
I mean, we just, that's what I thought was so unique about, I can't speak for this generation, but there was a lot of camaraderie. It was like, you enjoyed each other's company, going on training runs and things like that. It was all business come race day. And then right after, it's like, we all shut it off and
we're all hanging out together, going out.
Right.
Yeah. So, you went to Sydney in 80. Yeah. So,
God, you ran a great race there.
That was a hard course.
I forget if I was third or fourth.
That was a really, really hard course.
You were fourth.
See, that's what I need Benji for, because
I've got the statistics up from the Association of Road Racing Statisticians, just so I can keep track of all this. And you said
that's what I mean. I can't remember times, place.
Well, I'm crazy in that I remember stuff, and it turns out it's wrong. And it's not usually wrong in the sense that I remember I'm better. I remember that I was worse.
Wow.
And my best example is the 82 Nike OTC Marathon. For years, I told people I was fourth. I was third.
Well, I just saw something the other day, and I didn't realize how good Hailu Ebba was.
Yeah, Hailu was great. He beat me at that race. He was just in front of me.
That's why I brought that up, because he had run some really good races, and he was actually in the race in Australia.
I didn't know that. What did he run in Australia?
I don't remember. I just remember because he was known more as a miler.
Oh yeah, when in college he was a really good miler, and I didn't really know anything about him, and because he hadn't run that much in the road race world.
Yeah.
And so, along that example, in Houston in '83, he sat on me for 26 miles, and at Houston we had just at 26 miles we had like 100 meters, and then we had a hard right turn, and I kicked at 26 miles. And lost a little bit of my momentum at that hard right turn, and he just went whap right by me and beat me for a second. It cost me like something like $6,000.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I think
I had one like that. After the Olympic trials, because after the 84, they were telling myself and Dave Gordon, you guys might still be going because of the boycott, and then you're not going. Then, we'll take 4. Then it went back to 3. So you had to stay fit and ready. As it turns out, they only took 3. So I was at peak fitness by that time, and ran the Philly half marathon. And I won that, but I only won it by like a half a step, because Dave Murphy was just sitting on my shoulder. And I know what he was thinking, because we had run against each other like in college, and he just had that leg speed, right? But little did he know that I've been training with Dillinger and everyone in Eugene for, the last year and a half. And, I think I surprised him. He couldn't take me over. So, but it couldn't have been more than a half a step.
Yeah.
So of all the coaches that you trained with, where would you rank Bill?
Oh, number 1. It's not even close.
Yeah. No,
I think part of my journey, I just, like in high school, I had some nice coaches, but by the senior year they had left, and the person that took over, he was a great guy, but he came from Norfolk State, and he ran the 4x400, and they made him cross country.
Well, but he knew how to run. That was probably the only reason.
And so, but what was great is I remember saying, I'll handle the training. You just handle getting me to the meet. And it was so funny, because he would talk smack at all these races. Like, what do you know about my guy's gonna beat your guy, so to speak, but I'm trying to keep it clean. And ended up finishing second in the state in cross country, and in New Jersey, and then going on to Clemson. We had Pee Wee Greenfield, and he always had a can of Coke and substance in every Coke, and he drank it all day long. So, he was worthless by the time I got there. And then there was so much turmoil at Clemson that it wasn't until I ran in Sam Colson, who was an U.S. Olympic javelin thrower in Montreal. He was a graduate assistant and then became one of the coaches, took over the coaching job. I tell you what, he transformed me because I always ran enough. I never really was running to my potential. And it wasn't until someone like him that pushed me and made me, like he literally would show up at 6 o'clock in the morning with his headlights on to make me go out and run. My senior, I guess the end, junior year going into the summer. And that's when I really started training and got focused and disciplined, goal setting, all the things that you need to go from good to great. And that transformed me. And that's when I surprised a lot of people winning the ACC championships. And, the heavy favorites were Ralph King and Robbie Perkins, I blew them away, and then the rest was history. But I needed that person that could really push me to the next level. And then I kind of did well. And then it wasn't until I got out with Bill, because I tried to do it on my own. If I could do it over again, I should have went out to Eugene when Ron said after 1979, hey, you ought to come out to Eugene. But I didn't. And I think I would have been a much better runner. I'm not disappointed in my achievements, but I think I let a gap go there from not getting behind. Because once I got with Bill, because Bill started going, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. It was like,
yeah,
everything I was doing, it was the opposite. And he, as you know, Bill was so low key. He just would handwrite, like this week's training. And then he'd go, and it'd say easy. And I'm like, well, what's easy? And Bill would go, easy's easy.
yeah.
I go, but what do you mean by light? He go, well, light's light. Right?
Did you?
It was literally like that. But once you got around, then, you start training with, I would train sometimes with Ron, with Dave Gordon, with assorted people.
Tom Ronick, yeah.
Yeah. And then we'd all show up for like 2 workouts on the track. And that was the difference. That took me down to the 212, 211 range, because I learned how to train properly and how to peak. And he got that leg speed going. And he even told me, we planned to try to run a really good race at the 84 trials with the idea. He said, you're good enough to make this team. He said, just stay behind Alberto. Don't get in front of Alberto. That's all he said, and you'll be on the team. And obviously I wasn't on as an alternate at 5th. When it came down to the end, I just didn't have enough leg speed that last half mile that we had to go. And of course, Pete Fitzinger was so far ahead at the time, and we kind of really closed the gap. But after the race, when I got back to Eugene, Bill goes, man, you really needed one more 21-day cycle, and you would have been on the team. But he was trying to peak me for Los Angeles because of the heat, because he thought I was probably well suited to do really well in the Olympic Games in Los Angeles. But without a doubt, I loved running, Amazon Trail. Remember doing those circuit training
In and
out
out
there.
miles on the Adidas.
Right.
Yeah. No, I mean, that was the big
They were
difference.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
And to be able to train like on a Thursday morning, showing up at 6 o'clock, I mean, that discipline, like you didn't go there and warm up at 6 o'clock. You had to be ready to go to run at an elite level at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
And
I
I remember, and I
those
remember
were
that first 880, 330 drill we did in Hayward Field. And I show up, and who comes out of the darkness? Ron Tab. Another guy shows up, and it's Matt Centuritz. Another person, Dan Clary, Jimmy Hill, Alberto Salazar. That's your work group.
yeah, it
I'm
was
kind of glad I
insane.
didn't join that group because I was not going to be able to do it at 6 in the morning.
Oh,
Right?
geez. I get up
But
at,
it gave me confidence, right?
yeah,
Because we all hung together, right? There was
yeah.
nobody left one another. And I remember at that fifth set, there's that 800 meters, 300 meters with a jog. We call it a jog, but it's really faster than that.
Yeah.
And we started at what, 220 half, then a 210, then it was
I finished in low 2 minutes.
then we were
For
below 2 minutes and running that 300 at 47.48 point speed. And this is with
I was 40.
no
Yeah.
rest on the fifth mile.
Yeah.
And that's when you knew you were ready. I mean, talk about a confidence builder.
Yeah.
And
Tom
I think,
Byers. Don't forget about Tom Byers being in some of those workouts. You
right.
know, I mean, Benji, it was insane. You couldn't help but get better. It was impossible not to run faster just because of the environment that you were in.
Yeah, well,
And
But I
me
think the
running
big
with Berkeley
difference
sounds
was,
similar.
my first experience with running with Bill, I went out and we were doing a 5 mile tempo on the track, and I remember 24:46, and there were 9 guys in front of me, and that was at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Ugh.
I'm going, holy crap, what did I get myself into? So 24:46 for 20 laps around the track, and there's 9 guys in front of me. You
right.
know, it was bizarre.
I talk about Bill, the kind of motivator he wasn't a shouter. He wasn't a guy that, was out there pushing. He was a man of few words. I mean, he
Yeah.
looked at that stopwatch. He just expected
Yes.
precision.
Yeah.
Precision. If he told you to run 60 seconds, he meant 60.1, 60, that you learned how to pace yourself. But I thought one of the greatest motivators I had from him was, you know, after the 21-day cycle, we would run let's say the all comers meet. And I remember he wanted me to run the 5,000 meters. And, uh, of course, he's up in the wooden stands with all his old cronies. And the 5,000 is about 10 minutes away. And then he like fingers to me to come on up. And he's amongst all his guys, and he sits me down and he goes, I just bet all these guys that I'll buy them beers if you don't run under 14 minutes in the 5K tonight. You felt that obligation, right? It's not like this isn't something you walk through. He wants to see me go under 14 minutes in that all comer. And darn if I didn't run like 13:54 or something like that in an all comers meet.
Yeah, yeah.
On
And
a 100 mile week.
right, but did you see how he motivated you, right? Like you felt an obligation that he's saying, I put you in that position to do that. Now go execute.
Okay. So I'll step back to when we were getting ready to go down to Sydney, and the week before was the Prefontaine Classic, and I knew I was in sub 4 minute mile shape at that time. I'd never run under 4 minutes for a mile. So I go in the office and I say, Bill, I said, I'd like to run the mile at pre, because I know right now I'm in shape to go under 4, and I've never done it before. So his response was, because I'm on the world championship team, and He goes, well, I'm supposed to be running the 10,000 and I want to run the mile. And he goes, well, what are you training for? The mile or the marathon? He left it up to me to make the decision. He didn't tell me not to do the mile. He didn't encourage me to do the 10,000. He just asked me, what are you training for? So I knew what he wanted me to do. And so I chose to run the 10,000.
That's a perfect example, Ron, of because I worked in leadership and development for a good amount of my in corporate
business. Yeah.
Right. And those are one of the things that you learn, like, don't tell people what to do. You have to guide them to find their own solutions
Right.
and help them find to discover choices and help them discover what is the right choice. And then have them set goals from that choice. And you as a coach makes them accountable.
Yep.
And that was the lessons learned from being around Bill was you had the empowerment, but he had a way of making sure you made
You're
the right
making the right choice. Exactly. Yeah.
And that was a lesson learned for life.
So, but I still regret I didn't do the mile. So, because I never got that sub 4 minute mile. I never ran a mile again but I ended up, that was a pretty good 10,000 because Gomez, I beat one of the Gomez, I beat Rodolfo.
Wow.
Jose was there. Jose won. Alberto was second. Pat Porter caught me down the back stretch and I finished fourth.
Boy, what a great field.
It's an awesome 10,000 field.
What'd you run?
28:30 something. Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but
yeah, I ran another all comers and I think I finished 8th or 9th and I ran 28:30 on the track.
Yeah, that's normal. I mean, for Eugene.
Well, it was normal. I don't know if it's normal anymore, but it was normal.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're talking 40 years ago, though.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of the races that I did on the track, I was doing those on 100+ mile weeks.
Right.
And, because we really didn't cut back because I really viewed myself as a road racer, marathon runner,
Right.
so, but it would use I used the track races just for, part of my training.
Well, Bill took me, when I was going there, I was doing the 100-mile weeks and then I'm getting injured and stuff. He said, all you need is 65. So, it was customized in the sense. He said, just do, that's why I wish I would have been out there sooner, right? Because I was doing a lot of the wrong things for me. It would probably work for Benji, he needs the mileage.
Well,
for me,
I wasn't much more than you. I was 80 to 90.
Yeah. So, in that 70, 80 range is where he wanted to be. That's when he started, cut this out, cut that out. And then the long runs were only on like a Sunday, and it would be like a 15 one week. Then he'd move it up to 17. And then the third one would be like 18. And then in the cycle, it would come back down again. But I never ran more than 18 miles on a long run. And most of it was quality work on the track.
Right.
Now, they were long intervals. Like I said, 5 miles of track work, that's how they were designed, or the repeat 1 milers, 5 repeats, and they were progressive. Each one got faster, faster, faster. But, what was great being out in Eugene is that you were on those soft trails. They were measured, they were exact. And God, all you had to do is get behind like Alberto, and he's going to pull you through.
Yeah. So Benji, I know your long runs were a little bit longer than
but they were pretty slow. I mean, it was a combination of duration. I'd be out there. My typical long run was 2.5 hours to 2 hours and 45 minutes. And it would be with all my sweats on, and it would be in the, out there, the Stone Mountain area on dirt roads and or trails.
Is it still like that?
Well, I still, I mean, I don't run.
No, Snellville, is it still like that?
I don't know. At Stone Mountains,
yeah.
I haven't been there in a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know if I doubt there's still dirt roads out there.
Right.
I'd be amazed. And I had this trail I occasionally would run on. It was like a 3-minute loop. I did as much as 3 hours on that 3-minute loop. It's gone. It's a housing development. So
Yeah.
things like that but yeah, my long runs were not fast. Kept that for my road races. I'd run a long run on Thursdays and then a non unimportant road race on the weekend, Atlanta Track Club or something like that. And that was my pattern. Tuesdays was my speed day, Thursday was my long run, and the weekend I'd do a low key road race, and that would be my week. What year did you leave Atlanta?
Around 83.
I was thinking you came out to Eugene around 80.
Around 83. I was there
yeah,
about a year and a half.
yeah.
Trying to remember what year we ran Heart Trek and tied. Was that 82 or 83?
Yeah,
What's
well, and
that?
Beardsley was there too, right? Was
Yeah.
that the one or
No,
is
he
that
wasn't the
another
one
one?
with Beers, I don't think.
Okay.
It was you and I basically had been running together for like 2 or 3 miles towards the end, and we decided we had Boston coming
Yeah,
up.
well, because they were
Might have been
training
83.
runs.
Might have been 83 because we decided we just didn't want to hurt ourselves getting ready for Boston.
Right. And that was what was nice about Atlanta. You could hook up with people if you wanted to,
Yeah,
that.
but we never. Where did you live? What part of
Oh, I
Atlanta did
lived
you
on the
live
opposite end. I lived over near what is Galleria Mall now, right
in?
off of the Chattahoochee River. I
Okay,
think it
so
was
we
called
were probably
North
50
North
to
View
60 miles
Apartment.
apart.
Yeah, but I remember I was telling Ron, I don't have the pictures here, but I have the pictures in Florida. I'll have to take a picture, a photocopy of it. But I got a picture of him after the Peachtree Road race. He's at Ron Tabb's at my apartment. Craig Virgin, Pete Squires. There were a few others, and even Herschel Walker was there because it was the Adidas crowd,
Yep,
right?
yep, yep.
And so we were all hanging out at the pool and having a good time because Herschel, time to time, would come stay at my apartment in Atlanta because Athens was a fishbowl. That's when he was,
Yep,
you know, the man.
yep.
And so he was just a low key guy. I mean, and he'd just do his 100 push-ups and his 100 sit-ups. And you'd sit there and watch it and go, he really does this every day.
Yep, yep. I met him a few times in Athens.
Yeah.
I'd go in the locker room and he'd be in there.
Well, we had I remember Clemson beat Georgia when he was there. And I always used to razz him about that. And then the next year, Clemson played at Georgia and Herschel got us 50-yard line seats because he wanted me to see it. Wrong guy to motivate.
And what year was that? Was that 81 that you guys?
Yeah, it had to be sometime in that time period.
Yeah, 81 was my best year there at Peachtree. And it
So,
was ridiculous. There hardly any.
well, I ran at 79 for sure. Maybe 79, I was seventh.
You were
And
16th in 81, if I remember right.
yeah, so maybe it was 80. The year before I ran seventh. I
Yeah,
probably ran.
you were seventh in 79 and a slower time than you were 16th in 81. 81 was really
Exactly. But man, they had great prizes.
Yeah, I've still got all my glass
Yeah,
pieces.
they had artwork,
Oh yeah.
stained
Stained
glass
glass.
artwork.
I've got a few of those too.
That was amazing. But
Yeah.
you're right. I ran faster and was farther back.
Yeah. I mean my 28:36 for sixth place in 81 would have won most of them.
Wow. What did I end up running?
In 81 you were 29:02.
Okay. How
And
about
then in 79 you were 29:34.
I tell you what, that first time around, hitting that cardiac hill, because I think we ran sub 4 the first mile, and I was in the back of the pack. It was fast.
Yeah. And let's see, in 79, I was back a ways. I was 29:43. I'd run pretty hard at Cascade.
Yeah, that's a tough course too.
Yeah, going up the hill there on Twilliger. It's hard. You You just ahead of Berkeley in in 79.
Wow.
You're 5 seconds ahead of Dick. You're 1 second behind Ed Letty.
God, I still couldn't beat him. You don't remember the people you beat?
No, you
remember the people
generally
you
don't.
didn't beat.
The people that are in front of you, the ones you remember. I mean,
Right.
years later, I remember beating people, and I thought, I mean, I saw that I beat somebody. I thought, I didn't know I beat. Oh, like Dick Quacks was behind you in 79.
Wow.
You beat him by 7 seconds. I mean, I don't know.
Is there anyone that you guys during your career that you would never beat? Like the
Well,
one person that I never beat in a race was Craig Virgin. I was never in front of
well,
Craig.
Yeah,
I
I
was
don't
in
think
front of
I
Craig.
was ever in front of Craig either.
I was
but
in front of Craig a couple times, well, at least once, because he ran a marathon just to see what it was like. And so he was like a 240 or something like that. So that doesn't really
Oh,
count. But
How about a
right.
serious race though with
I don't think I ever beat him in a serious race. We didn't race that often, but
yeah.
Oh, he was a fierce competitor.
yeah, he
I mean,
definitely was.
he was so
80,
strong.
80 would have been his year to get a medal. And
Yeah.
I mean, he actually had planned out to go for the marathon 10,000 double in Moscow.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he and I've talked about that. Now, and he shifted gears, but he had planned, he'd run marathons developing to be ready to run a fast marathon, as well as being ready to run, fast on the track. Now, whether he had been able to pull it off, the 10,000 was brutal. We've talked about that before, how hot the trials were. They had to run
Right.
prelims, and how hot the prelims were and how much it took out of people. The marathon, I think it was pretty tough too, because you look at the times that the people ran. 2:11 was, right up there. And these are people that could run faster than that. So I don't remember the weather for the marathon, but the Moscow games were hard on,
Mm.
and being in Moscow, I mean, we were there for the Goodwill games, Ron and I, and it was a difficult environment.
Mm. Yep.
Yeah, I'd have to say Craig, because I crossed off a lot of people at the Olympic trials in '84.
Yeah, you got me because I DNF'd, but
And I mean,
I bailed out
there's
twice
Meyer,
behind you.
Greg Meyer. I don't think I ever, because a lot of times, like Greg, I think he won Gasparilla the year I got third or fourth. I can't remember. It's probably in your statistics there.
I'll look while we're talking. Greg basically was like me, less like Ron, but Greg and I both kind of, our careers petered out after Boston in '83. He went on and ran a little bit better than I did, but I my I tore my plantar fascia and I never really was that effective again.
Wow.
Let's see, what year did you run Gasparilla?
It would have to be 80, 81, somewhere in there probably.
It didn't get reported, I guess.
Oh, no reported income, huh?
Well, no, this statistics, that doesn't pay
Yeah,
attention
they
to
don't
that.
have everything.
No, they don't. And I don't think Gasparilla got on the radar. I don't see a result. I mean, Gasparilla was a good race. I remember, I think it was '83. I ran there and we really went out hard. It turned out we had a tailwind. I came through in a PR for 10K and it's sort of, whoa. And then we turned around and it was sort of, oops.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if it might have been 79. I'm not sure. 79, 80. It had to be right around then.
Yeah, it doesn't show up here.
But anyway, because I remember picking up, well, one of my good friends from high school, Brett Harper, was living in Tampa. So, I went down there early and stayed with him. And then I got a call from Pete Squires and saying, "Hey, can you pick up Greta Waits at the airport?" And I remember, he was just in a modest car, you know, and so I said, "Hey, I have a running friend of mine that's coming in. Could we go pick her up?" I didn't say who it was or anything like that. And, and she got in the car and, I said, "Hey, you hungry?" "Yeah." So we went to this place called CBD Pizza. It's it's a pizza joint near University of South Florida. And, he's talking with her and stuff. And then you see on the news a picture of her and how she's in and all her records and blah, blah, blah. And he's like looking up, looking at her, looking up.
He didn't know who she was, huh?
No, because he wasn't a runner.
Oh, okay.
So, but he's like, oh my God.